And we are live. Welcome to Ask Your Tech, Friday edition, 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm Chris, and the other guy here is Chris.
That's right. Two Chris's don't make a right. No, that doesn't work. It was a bad joke. It was not good. It was from Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, okay. I knew that.
Two Rogers don't make a right. No. Anyway. There's the comedy sketch from this, Chris. Wasn't good.
So today, what are we talking about? We're talking about AI and NFTs.
AI and NFTs, kind of a strange pairing, but I wanted to talk about NFTs and I've made some mistakes in my life, and I'd like to just be upfront about that. I had Bitcoin on a thumb drive, and that's gone. I got it when it was, I don't know, a nickel a Bitcoin. I've learned my lesson from that. However, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. And what that means is that they can't be duplicated, they can't be changed. They're built on, I believe, blockchain. And what that means is that everything that is associated with an NFT is essentially, I would say, almost encapsulated in a type of encryption that verifies its authenticity. Is that a good way to describe it? Yep. And with non-fungible tokens, supposedly you own, if you purchase one, you own that particular asset. Nobody else can, even if, well, that's the problem, is that none of it is really physical. It's all digital. So if it's an image, you hold the digital rights, or not rights, actually, because if it is an image, the image can be duplicated and used elsewhere. It's just, if, say, an artist came up with something like a digital artist, and offered it for sale as an NFT, you would be getting the original file, essentially, of that digital asset, and you would own it. And so you would, you could, the whole idea behind NFTs is being able to own things that are digital and add more of that tangible real world ownership to these digital things. And all that being said, I don't know that this is going to necessarily be something that long-term continues. There's already been a lot of money that people have been spending on NFTs, but just recently there was the original first NFT tweet that was released by Jack Dorsey, which was the founder of Twitter, sold for something ridiculous, some insane amount of money, like $2.8 million. And then the value of that particular NFT crashed. And now it's worth much less, maybe $250,000. But, and obviously, that's a house. You could purchase a house with that. But, what is the tangible value of something that doesn't truly exist, something that you can't really truly hold in your hand? It seems strange to me, even though I'm in IT. And like I said, I had Bitcoin and now I don't. So I have been considering purchasing some NFTs and getting into the NFT trading, but I don't really truly know what ultimately the fundamental value of these things will be in the future. Some people talk about, on a related note, the metaverse and uh, the fact that purchasing land in the metaverse is something that people are doing now, very, very expensive land. But again,
but it's fake land, right?
It's fake land. It's infinite. It can go on forever. So, one of the oldest things that you'd say realtors or real estate people, real estate investors would say is location, 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 right? Well, it all is on the internet, which ultimately will be just a server somewhere in a data center. And what will the value of that truly be? I read a book a long time ago called Snow Crash. Was it Snow Crash? I think that was the book. There was actually uh, a character in it, which was the main character, which was named Hero Protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Snow Crash, and that was one of the big. That is a excellent book by who is the author? Neil Stevenson. He was kind of like the inventor, or almost the big cyberpunk guy. He brought around a lot of technological cyberpunk books and thrillers that a lot of people actually based technology off of. Names of technology, like in Snow Crash, there are a gang of individuals that utilize Microsofts in a socket behind their ear. And that's where the name Microsoft came from. So in that, there is a large digital world, but with the digital world, everything is able to be connected all at once. And so ownership in that digital world, in the location of those digital things, I don't think is going to matter overall.
And what I see, so if you're buying land in there, and that's like based on an NFT or whatever, because you show ownership of it, you have
Mm-hmm.
it as an
Yeah.
NFT, right?
Mm-hmm.
But how is that any different than the internet right now?
Well, it adds ownership
You own a domain.
somehow. Right. You would own a domain, but
you own a domain right now, so you
mm-hmm.
own virtual property.
Right. And that's where it confuses me as well. So in the digital landscape that is supposed to be coming and growing right now, they say that digital ownership of NFTs and different land within the metaverse and things like that will be important to own. But if the landscape is infinite, like with us on Earth, we on Earth have a finite amount of resources and land. So ultimately, as population density increases, land expense increases. In the digital world, that doesn't necessarily seem to be what would happen. It's just an ever expanding jungle of the world,
So
of a server. Yeah.
Going.
Right. I mean, if you think about it like the internet, it's you add a server, it's modular. So I'm personally struggling. perhaps that's just my age saying, well, you don't get this anymore, Grandpa.
Back in my day, we had real grass.
Yeah, back in my day, we had real land where we could grow things. But that's I think essentially what I wanted to discuss with NFTs. What's your take on them?
I mean, they have a premise.
Mm-hmm.
They have a understanding, but I just don't think it's going to have the adoption until some kind of government entities recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't recognize it as something right at the moment. They may or may not, based on contractual. But until
right.
they start using it, is what I'm saying, because
Mm-hmm.
people don't put faith in crap until the government tells them to.
Right, right. Well,
There,
that actually, sorry, go ahead.
no, so that means it's not going to take off like that until there is some kind of legal backing behind it.
Right.
Like some kind of legal backing that says, yeah, this is real. I mean, because there's such a thing as intellectual property right now, but there's laws written around that.
Mm-hmm.
Intellectual property can be owned and so on and so forth. Yes, NFTs fall into that intellectual property type thing, but I don't think the value is going to be there because people don't think of it as that until there's like real backing where deeds, like the
Right,
property, and legal documents are actually enacted using it.
right,
So I don't see it being adopted.
right. It won't be adopted until the government can figure out how to tax it.
Exactly. They got the Bitcoin part done.
Yep.
Jerks.
Well, but I suppose that's just really what I was what
So
was
you should be happy you lost your Bitcoin because imagine the capital gains tax on that.
there you go. I would have definitely hated remembering how much
I know.
I
I
had to
bought
pay
Bitcoin
into
many
taxes on
years
my
ago too
yacht.
and lost it.
What?
So I'm in your boat
What?
too. It's like
Yeah,
crap. Where did I save
right. I went through all of my thumb drives. I went through everything. I was
that?
searching for things to recover thing.
Yeah.
I
I think mine
I
was on an old phone that had just died and I didn't get it off before they had
mm,
backup stuff.
oh
Really
yeah.
intensive for them.
Before when phones all had different connectors and power everybody had their own uh what's the name for it, their own,
Proprietary connections.
that's it, proprietary power connections
Speaking
or
of, did you
chargers.
see
Yeah.
what the EU is trying to do to Apple?
No, what's that?
No, they're trying to force everybody to use USB-C.
Really?
Yeah, so that means that Apple won't be able to use their Lightning cable.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't necessarily hate that idea. I mean, Apple did use USB-C for a little while on their phones, and it was actually really nice. I could charge my Samsung, and my wife could charge her
Yeah,
Apple. You know,
I
um,
don't I don't see why they can't use an industry standard.
right.
But I see why they
Well,
can't use it because they want the business, which makes
oh, absolutely.
from a business aspect it makes perfect sense.
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
From
and
a
that's
ease of use, it doesn't make sense at all.
right. And that's Apple. Apple has always done what they consider to be brave
Mm-hmm.
and trailblazing, and they've definitely done some things that has been really amazing and interesting. I mean, I remember when they launched iPads, I just thought to myself, what's the point? Now I have a giant iPhone, and they have their place. I mean, they're great tablets. They're amazing tablets.
I bought
Uh,
I bought the iPad or the iPod, the
mhm,
digital one, the one right before the iPhone came out when they turned it into
mhm.
that, like an iPad type thing, with
Oh yeah.
iPods. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. But I was like,
Hmm.
wow, this is expensive for a little baby computer.
Right. Yeah. And that's, and they keep everything in their own engineering environment. And that can be a good thing. And, with that, the EU trying to force the USB-C, like that's kind of overstepping. I think,
Oh
I would prefer USB-C, absolutely. But, it's their company. They can develop whatever the hell they want.
yeah, exactly. So
Um,
developing
mhm.
AI,
AI.
artificially intelligent, artificial
Mhm.
intelligence.
Artificial intelligence.
Why it isn't real?
Why isn't it real? Why isn't it real?
Why isn't it real? Because
Hmm.
it's more along the lines of augmented intelligence, right?
Hmm.
Can any AI that's purportedly out there pass a Turing test? And if you don't know what the Turing test is, it's the test for sentience.
Hmm.
Can you think for yourself,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
Can you formulate? your own opinions, ideas, so on and so forth. No, AI is not there yet. It's not really AI because it's programmatical, meaning it's augmented. It's something somebody's putting
Right.
information in there to
Mm-hmm.
make those outcomes, no matter how you look at it. Right now, it's learning based on the programming and the inputs that are coming into it and how those inputs are processed
Mm-hmm.
from somebody that's programming. So there's always going to be some kind of a bias.
Right.
It's not going to be self-thinking, self-aware, self-this, self-that. It's going to be what did that person put in there, or how do we add some functionality to this to make it act more close to what we want.
Right.
So while it's really cool, so on and so forth, it's not. So are AI going to take over the world? Not within probably the next 20, 30 years, right?
No.
Unless there's some magical leaps.
Right. Exactly.
But,
Magical leaps in machine learning that.
you know, yeah. But who's going to
Mhm.
take over the world then? Nerds like us.
Right. Exactly.
So, and the meek shall inherit the earth, right?
Yes. The nerds shall inherit the earth, and all will be great. There will be uh, there will be Quidditch competitions, professional Quidditch. There will be
There will be a metaverse. Wait a minute.
a metaverse. Wait, oh man, we've gone full circle now.
Nabbit.
But yeah, AI is a collection of algorithms that, essentially with machine learning, there's different types of machine learning, right? So there's direct interaction machine learning that programmers then put into the machine learning's algorithms how to solve problems or how to go about solving problems. I know with a lot of like um, visual machine learning that they're using a lot on. Say like Tesla. Tesla is using visual machine learning in order to teach their cars how to drive. Um, they can become very complex and very amazing and seem very much like it's an intelligence, but it really is ultimately a program that is,
Very
taking
intuitive.
in, yeah, intuitive program that takes in
Mhm.
and learns from it. The other type is the machine learning where there's no human interaction, where they allow engineers will create it and then they allow the machines to learn through a certain series of different tests and things like that.
And then that's how it blocks your data.
Mhm, exactly. Well, and that's, there are some people that are doing, AI firewall and monitoring and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What is the company that's doing that? Um,
The AI firewall.
yeah, Fortinet actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the AI driven security operations. So they can actually, what that does is it has a series of algorithms that monitors what's going in and out of your network, monitors what your users are looking for, and then if anything's out of the ordinary or potentially dangerous, it'll block it.
Yeah.
And it has learned over time through the engineers at Fortinet working on it.
I just
What
My
is
big thing with this kind of thing though is it's not really AI, so I hate that it gets called AI.
right?
It's
Well, and
it's
that's
the new buzzword like cloud.
mhm,
You know, it's it's not the same thing as what people think of when they think of AI, and they're
right.
using that to their advantage because they think,
Mhm,
oh, it can think, it can do this, it can do that. No, it's actually a program that's written specifically for a task,
mhm,
and it can take all sorts of input and then make decisions based on that input, but only within its programming.
yeah,
It cannot change, it cannot adapt, it cannot overcome any more than what it's allowed to do because of the program.
right.
And it
And
doesn't
I
think for itself.
right, and I think they say that AI has reached the capability levels that are akin to say a 5-year-old.
I don't think so yet.
Well, and that's it's self, like they say in Terminator. when will it become self-realized? When will it know about itself? And that's where consciousness comes in. And will consciousness ever be in a computer? Possibly. If we get computers far more complex. I mean, our brains are essentially, organic computers, right? With a whole bunch of silly peripherals.
That's a theological type discussion, more along,
right,
or something along those lines. But I just
as
don't
of
think, as it sits now, there's anything anywhere close to that.
No,
You know?
no, but you can give these AI systems tasks that humans cannot do quickly, and they'll be able to figure out,
So can a calculator.
Exactly, and that's,
so a calculator is AI then, by that definition, right?
Well,
think about it.
I suppose. That just always makes me think of the Apollo programs. Those crazy guys went to the moon.
Yeah.
If you believe in that sort of thing.
Yeah.
A calculator.
Yeah.
Well, we have to calculate our trajectory around around the moon so we can slingshot back to Earth.
Yep.
Because we've only got a thimble full of fuel. Let me get my slide rule, and then we'll use the calculator that we have here on board.
Yeah, slide rules. He's got it, and I have to learn anything about those. I'm not that
old. I got one for my son, actually. I was showing him how to use it. They're kind of difficult to find now.
Yeah, I can imagine. You can still find an advocate
though. Yep. Yeah. They're everywhere. They're never going away.
No.
They are.
So
yeah,
AI. I would love to see the term disappear from the way it's being used, but I know it's not going to.
Right.
But every time somebody says it to me, I'm gonna be like, it's actually just a really well written program.
Right. That's where the term machine learning and that sort of stuff is a little bit more apt.
Yeah.
Intelligent bot, semi-intelligent, or what? Not intelligent. There's not an intelligence.
It has a larger set of inputs and outputs that it can process.
Right. Well, I think I heard this was a long time ago, back when computers were like, 66 megahertz and that sort of thing. And I think I heard it's pretty fast. They say that the human brain is only really capable of about 15 megahertz, but we have unlimited amounts of threads.
We have quantum processors now.
Exactly. Yeah. So perhaps when we get to actual quantum computing, we could
that possibility. Yeah.
Find the AI, but that's a whole nother thing that is just confusing and difficult to understand.
The quantum computing. The best way I've ever had it described about quantum processors is take your lawn, right? Right now, one blade of grass is how a computer works. It grows, right? It's growing and it's individual from everything else. But a quantum processor would be your entire lawn growing at exactly the same rate like this, all at the same time. That's the difference. I don't know if that makes it easier, but
I suppose. I think it's just the different iterations that they say, because they say that you can have multiple threads. So it would be like the one piece of grass or one blade of grass growing, but then all of the other potential blades of grass growing, but in different ways, different directions, and different like all of the different things that apply to it, like sunlight and so on and so forth. That allow
they're all coming out with, even though they're growing all at the same time, but they're all doing separate tasks.
Right. And that's where, you say, that's where I hear people say quantum computing. It has, it can compute all of the potential outcomes. Well, then how do you know which one's right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's, I suppose it's good that I never went to school for quantum.
Yeah, it's gonna come back to a philosophical discussion on that one. I think.
Right. Unfortunately, it always does. Right.
That's when computering meets. I don't want to say, yeah, psychos. I mean psychologists, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Because otherwise,
And then
how once it can do that, then it might be able to do touring. It might be able to say, I am aware.
right, and that's where I like going back to fiction. Neuromancer, same same author as Snow Crash. In that book, there is an AI, but it was developed separately. So there's two parts of the AI that then end up having to come together, and then it
The X the XAI and the YAI.
exactly, and then it ultimately then it's capable of
Ultimate cosmic
true
power.
independence, yeah, and it
Itty bitty living space.
yeah, and then it finds another AI that had been created out near the I don't know
Hmm?
the Horsehead Nebula or something like that. They had been communicating. That's where fantasy is always fun.
Yep. All right. So, anything else we wanted to discuss today?
I don't believe so.
I think we beat that horse nebula to death.
We nice,
Hey,
very nice. Yes, perfect. Yeah,
dare an
we,
AI to do that one.
yeah, exactly. It can't pull out those sorts of dad jokes on its own.
Yep.
The dad joke AI. Maybe we should develop that.
We can invent one. But
Yeah,
then that's all it would do is dad jokes, right?
right. Exactly. Just find something obvious and punny,
Yeah.
and churn it out.
Yeah. But then it's not really a dad. It's not really an AI. It's a program.
There you go.
Okay. Enough beating that dead horse. Okay. Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah,
Remember, we're here every Friday. Unless
every
we're not.
Friday. Yep. Tip your waitress and have a great weekend.
Yep. You too.
All right. Bye. We off?